I had a chance to chat with Jim Owen about keeping things simple.
Jim Owen, it is a pleasure to have you here with us today on Wyoming Signatures.
I'm just glad to be here, thank you.
So, was there really a code of the West?
Absolutely. In the days of the open range, when there was no system of courts and laws, the code was the only civilizing authority. And it was never written down. But just think about it, no sheriff within 500 miles. So if there was a dispute, you had to have some rules. And that's all this was. Just a set of expectations that was sort of followed by and accepted by the folks at that time.
I want to step back a little bit.
Sure.
And talk about what prompted you to write this book. Now, you were in the investment world, and this book came out in 2004. What was going on which made you feel that something like this had to be done?
Every day, and you can remember this, every day you pick the paper up and scandal after scandal. And that they were really corporate scandals. Some of them were Wall Street, but Enron, the list went on and on and on. You wonder what has happened to our culture. And I always thought it was a case of a few bad apples. I was pretty naive, you know. There's an endemic of corruption, unfortunately, in the corporate world. It's endemic. And it's part of the culture. And so I was just truly shocked and kind of set back on the heels. And I saw a movie called Open Range, one of my favorite movies. And somehow it sparked this thing in me. And I said, I'm going to try this. I'd written 2 investment books. I'm not a cowboy, as you can tell the way I'm dressing. These are John Loeb shoes from England. These are not cowboy boots. And Italians, but I'm not a cowboy. But I thought the Cowboys are a great source of inspiration for me growing up. Roy Rogers, Gene Autry. These guys always stood for something. And so it was a very inspirational thing for me. It took a year and a half to write. What made this thing come to life were the photographs. So it's half photographs by a guy named David Stecklin out of Sun Valley, Ketchum, Idaho. The photos alone are just to die for. And so I kind of married some strong writing, very simple prose, not a lot of fancy words, and just astonishing photographs. Cowboys, cowgirls, sunsets, like horses, that kind of stuff. And the rest, we've sold about 105,000 copies. You think about it. There's no sex in this book. It's just cowboys and ethics. And you wonder, why would anybody want to read this book?
The horses?
Horses, that's the answer.
One thing that I have to emphasize for folks who haven't read the book, it's not a list of rules. You're illustrating what you call principles.
Right. It's a principles-based approach to life. And the premise of the book is everyone needs a code, a creed to live by. And I'm not saying it has to be this code. Have your own code. And your code might be just 1 or 2 principles.
Now, this book is not saying that all cowboys had absolutely stellar ethics. In fact, you use movie characters to
sure.
illustrate
Sure.
the values itself. So
right.
It doesn't matter so much that maybe the real cowboys or some working cowboys did not achieve the ideal. You're just using this as role models in the ideal case.
Right. Well, I think we need heroes to look up to. And my heroes as a kid were cowboys. I thought Gene Autry and Roy Rogers were real. I mean, I didn't know what movie star. I'm from Lexington, Kentucky. And we'd go and watch the Saturday matinees, pay 25 cents. I thought that was Roy Rogers. I mean, I didn't know he was acting. I thought that was what he. That's how naive I was. But these guys always stood for something. I mean, I didn't know they went back to Hollywood and lived normal lives. I just thought he and Trigger hung out together every day. But we need heroes. And for me, the Cowboys are my heroes, and they live a life that they choose to live. So they chose to live by a code. Nobody's going to make you live by the code.
So I'm going to have fun with you. If the code was so great, why did everybody have a gun?
Well, I mean, for the simple reason of for the ones that didn't live by the code. So no, we're not talking about a mamby-pamby existence now. This was crude. It was key to the cowboy's survival. Is the answer. So if I was a cowboy, and you didn't have courage, and we were riding together, you might get me killed. That's what it's all about. I need you to have courage, otherwise we can't do what we do. There's a stampede, And I can't, it's like a Marine. Marines will have their own code. So a Marine has to rely upon his buddy, knowing if his buddy lets him down or turns frightful, he could kill the whole unit. So it's just the code is something that people want to believe in, try to strive to live by each day, but there's no, of course people fell short.
Now, you've developed a program for high school students. How are the students receiving this?
Oh, well, Cherry Creek High School, the #1 high school in Colorado, an amazing teacher, Ann Moore. In 1 month, she transformed these at-risk kids, at risk of drugs, at risk of dropping out of school, all kinds of issues like this. And Ann works with them and has developed this program around cowboy ethics. It's 5 hours a week for 4 weeks. She's absolutely, don't take my word, transform these kids. The question is how many Ann Moores are there in the classes? That's what I'm not sure about. But any school can do it. We have a school in Casper, a pretty amazing teacher over there. She heard about Ann Moore's class. She's teaching cowboy ethics. So one by one, we're getting in a number. We're in about a dozen schools right now. It takes the right teacher, though. That's the. But I've been amazed. I've gone in the classroom now 4 times. Take a young cowboy, Josh Peak, who's on the rodeo circuit, and he's the rock star. I'm an old geezer. I walk in. The kids don't care about me. They care about Josh, good-looking kid, and he can talk about the code of the West probably better than I can. And so there's wide recognition that we've got to do something in our society. We have to try to do something. And I think this is, for me, the cowboy, I believe, represents the best of America. I think it's the courage, the optimism, the self-reliance that built this country. If we lose these very basic values, this is not fancy stuff at all. When people say to me, Jim, these things seem so simple. Well, that's the power. They're simple because they take you back to basics. Simple truths, right and wrong, black and white. And the 10 principles, by the way, I believe are timeless. I think they're universal. I think they apply to all of us, no matter who you are. Democrat, Republican, white, black, Muslim. Which one of the 10 do you not like? It's when I ask somebody about the code. Which one don't you like? Just tell me which one. Know where to draw the line. You don't think that's a good idea to know where to draw the line? You say, well, intellectually, well, where is that line? Where is it? I don't see it. Well, the line's wherever you want to see it.
Has it personally changed your life?
Absolutely. Well, I like to think I stand a little bit taller. There's one code, though, my wife says, please don't talk about this either at home or when you give these talks, and that is talk less and say more. She said, Jim, you don't do that. We've been married 41 years.
Well, there's always room to grow.
Exactly. So talk less. She says, Jim, you might as well just erase that at least from your book.
Well, Jim Owen, thank you so much for coming and talking to us today.
I so much enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.